This is what sometimes happens to the emergency call boxes. They get arted up. This one's on Greenpoint Avenue and Bradley Avenue. You see a lot of this in Jackson Heights too. I think there's this particular artist who lives in that area who does this. I don't think it's sanctioned. I don't think the city would approve of it, but I don't think they're going to do anything to stop it. Anyway, I'm at Calvary. Just for the hell of it, they said this is probably the last warm weather day for maybe even the rest of the year. I guess you'd call this Indian summer. We'll see if we get another patch of that, another patch of unseasonably warm weather. I still want to know if the chapel's open. I've emailed the cemetery, I think 3 times now, and they just ignore me. Saturday is the day it's likeliest to be open because they are supposed to do a field mass on Saturdays at 10 a.m. I think it's about 11 now. I've never attended the field mass. I'm not even sure what it is, like what the format is. I don't think it's not a regular church service, I don't think. Like, maybe I'll look that up someday. What the hell is a field mass? They used to word it a little differently. I think they said it was a mass for the dead. Before I ever entered Calvary, I just was nervous about it to a point of anxiety. Don't really know why, except I recognize that it's private property and I had no real legitimate claim. I don't know anybody here, although I do now. I used to not know anybody as far as I know, but there is at least one person I knew in life who's going to be here forever. And she was so cool. I liked her. Everybody liked her. Lucy. But before I got up the nerve to actually step in, this was all I did, was walk the length of this fence along Greenpoint Avenue, and then I would just go home, chicken out. And one day I finally got up the nerve and I felt like I'd busted in, even though the gate was wide open. Some mix of religious anxiety and mortality anxiety and, well, private property anxiety. But if you be respectful and don't mess with anything, they're not going to mess with you here. They don't care. I mean, they do, but you just have to be respectful. And this is one of my favorite things over here. It's a very old bus map. The B-29 disappeared a long time ago. Today you just get the B-24. But the old bus sign is pretty cool. They probably would not ignore me if I called with regard to this, but every other attempt I've made to connect with them, they ignore me. This viola marker is one of my favorites out here. As I've probably said before, this chapel looks pretty good on the outside, but not so much on the inside. The roof leaks whenever it rains. There's all these puddles and ponding. It smells kind of skunky in there. Could use a coat of paint though, that would go a long way toward sprucing up the place. Who knows, maybe they took care of this place during the lockdown. I don't think this is going to be open. Not with that sign. Yeah, well, attempting to open this would disrupt the sign, so I'm not even going to try. Contrary to this bit of signage out front, it's supposed to be open on Saturdays until 2 p.m., but that hasn't been true since COVID. I don't know that it's been open at all, but I would think maybe they open it once in a while for a funeral service. The gold lettering could use a touch-up, but it still looks okay, and the frieze is pretty cool. That's all we're going to see today. I think I'm gonna do. I used to do this just for fun, just to keep my forensic genealogist skills sharp. But I used to just get still photos of random tombstones and then go home and see what I could dig up, so to speak, on these random people. So maybe I can find out who Giacomo Tedesco was. Buried at 1 West, Section 1 West, I forget what the organization is. It's like row 6, plot E, grave 16. Maybe it's the other way around. I can never remember how they... what the sequence of these numbers means. I know 1W is the section number. Probably row 6, plot E, grave 16. Giacomo Tedesco. Let's see what I can find on that guy. Of course, when you do this sort of thing, you have to limit yourself to the ones that have relatively full bits of information. Full name, at least with the middle initial. And the DOB and the DOD, as they call it in the biz. Date of birth, date of death. The really old ones, I don't really think I'm going to find much. Or when I used to do this in the past, I remember the older ones, for the most part, didn't turn up anything unless they were politicians or something like that. But Calvaca, this looks recent enough. 1 West, row 6, plot H, grave 2. And if I'm wrong about the sequence of those coordinates, don't hate me. Let's see what I'll find on Michael Kalvacha and Lena Kalvacha. Perhaps that's pronounced Kalvacha. When I did the forensic genealogy thing, my primary goal was just to get photos of the tombstones and the surrounding area, and that was all that was really expected of me. But sometimes I went the extra yard, the extra distance, and I used my paid Ancestry.com subscription, which was a lot more valuable back then than it is now. And I would dig up, I should probably stop using that expression, dig up. I would find whatever I could and just pass that on to the people who hired me to come out and just get tombstone photos. I liked to do a little extra, and most people appreciated it. So let's see what I can find on Marion Rose Connolly, 1 West, row 6, section K, grave 17. Here's one with 3 possibilities. John Viola and Frank Fitzgerald. 1 West, 6K7. Philippa and Michelle Pupillo. 1893 to 1960, 1891 to 1984. You can see where his inscription is cleaner and newer than hers. 24 years later. And over here, I'll get what I can off of this one. James F. Halley, a nephew of Mary Slattery. Yeah, I don't think that's going to be enough for me to go on, but you never know. And the old ones, of course, can be pretty damn hard to read. When I used to do this professionally, more often than not, there'd a photo of somebody's tombstone, an ancestor or a forebear. As often as not, it would turn up more questions than answers. As a non-pender, I don't understand what the Carol means at the bottom, but I'm sure that's perfectly explainable. There you go. It's section 1 West, Avenue G. That's what they call it. I was calling it Road G, but that's close enough. Avenue G. So let's see what I can find on Richard and Isabel Pender.
16, 11, 12.
Wait, Avenue.
Avenue
Okay.
H. And it says it 1 West, Avenue H, 16.
And that's graves 11 and 12.
Plot, and then grave 5. So I would think it's near here, but then you look at this one, and this is, I guess this is it.
That's H17.
So that's going up. So
You're looking for H5, you said?
Yeah, so I'm looking for
So that
plot
should be
16, 5. So I'm looking for this, but with a 5 at the end. I'll let you know.
Looks like it's going to be one of these.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, probably
That's
unmarked. So you can guess it would be somewhere in the middle.
That's a shame.
Yeah, a lot of unmarked graves out here. More than marked, I think.
Right? And so if I go over here, right? Yeah, so this does say H. And that looks like a 21. 1121.
1112, I think. Yeah. 12. Oh, no, you're right, 21.
It is 21.
I think you're right. That's hard to
So
see.
if that's 21 and that's 16, and I'm looking
You're looking for 5. Oh.
I go the other way. Yeah, I can't imagine that they haven't had stuff. Isn't that shame?
How long ago was it?
Oh, this is, I mean, let's see, he died, John J. Robert. 1926.
Well, that's not that long.
Right, but there's, a bunch of people. The first person buried was 1864.
Oh, okay.
So, and it was a Cunningham, but the Kellys are really hard. See, look, there's a Kelly there.
But that's not it.
No. And I see names back there, which are interesting to me.
Gilhooly.
But you see, like this. Now this says Avenue H 17.
Yeah, you're right. It doesn't. They're not going in.
They're not. It's weird. So I see this is H here. At least that's consistent.
Right.
And then that says Grave 8, 6, but it's 17, so it's only past 16.
Is there anything on this?
Yeah.
Very lucky.
It's crazy, right? You have Irish roots?
No, British and
A mix?
hillbilly.
And hillbilly, so you don't know. You should do that. So,
That's actually my last name, though. That's surprising. Thomas is my last name.
oh, it is?
That's strange.
I think that says Roche, though.
Yeah, Roche. Thomas Roche.
So that's interesting.
Yeah, but that's not what you're looking for.
Yeah, I think they're in here somewhere.
Yeah, this is a lot. Look at all these empty. Look at all these unmarked spots.
Yeah. I think that's okay.
Well,
Thank you for helping.
oh, I'm sure. Happy to help.
Right?
Sorry we couldn't pinpoint it.
So are you uploading some of the headstones to?
Yeah, I do this once in a while. I just choose random stones and see what I can find.
I think it's awesome.
It's fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
you never know whose story is waiting to
Yeah,
be told.
so I do. I have a story, and I'm headed to Greenwood. And it was like, put my dad's DNA in, got this person. I drove to Maine
Right.
to meet with her. She's like 80. She goes, oh, do I have stuff? I get there, and she's got like portraits of people on the wall that
Wow.
are painted by famous American artists.
Wow.
And they had donated one, and then she started to pull records out from the 1800s, and I was
Wow.
like, and other stuff, and I was like, this should be in a museum.
Is it?
And then I learned that he owned an apothecary,
Nice.
right, in like 1830s,
Wow.
and it was and she had she had his business card still, 2 doors from Park Theater, which was famous
Right.
because it was the first professional theater in the United States.
Is that right?
2,000 seats, and it was right across the street from City Hall on Park Row.
Wow.
And so I go into an art book, and I find a drawing. Of course, they were trying to draw the theater, and her business is right next door.
Mm-hmm.
And I sent it to the woman. I was like, "You're not going to believe this. I just found the artwork, and it says on the marquee, apothecary and the business name." It was just so
That's
crazy.
so cool. That's
Yeah.
great. That's
and
awesome.
so, yeah, that was really a big find for me. Anyway, I'm going to go get the guy and see if he could tell me exactly
Right.
where this is, so that they know families at least hunting,
Sure. That's what they're here for, right?
right? And is there an office here that
It's actually a New Calvary.
so I have to go all the way over? Maybe I
Yeah.
can call someone. and
They might
tell
not be
them.
here on Saturday, too. I don't know.
They don't have hours on Saturday?
They might not. I know they don't on Sunday, so you might want to call ahead.
I'm going to have to call.
Yeah, just to
So
be sure.
I'll come back, but thank you so much.
Sure. Have a great day.
You too.
Beautiful day.
Bye.
That was an interesting encounter. It's really on the hunt. Don't know what I'm going to find on someone that only lived 4 days, but we'll see what Angelina Caraggio turns up. The Casserly marker. Devoted husband and father, patrolman James J. Casserly. Only lived to be 43. Mary Casserly outlived him by 30 years. T. Casserly. He's 44 years old. That's 1 West Avenue 6 Road. Here I go again. Even though I just tried to explain it to that person, I'm still not 100% clear. But 1 West Avenue 6 Row T, Grave 8. I think that's what that means. She's looking for a site that's probably, I think we pretty well concluded that it's unmarked, which is unfortunate. She probably came from a long way. Cienki? Maybe it's Cienki, I don't know. John and Beatrice. 1 West 6W23. Cornelius Hurley, 1903 to 1962. 1 West 6Y34. Roger that. I might as well be talking in CB speak. I don't really know what I'm saying at certain times. Frank and Felicina Garcia. 1W6Y1. Looks like they might have spelled his name wrong and had to come back and redo it. And then Reynolds. Martinet, 1899 to 1978. Mary B., 1902 to 1997. And Margaret Barr Reynolds, 1906 to 1990. 1W6212 or 6Z12? Yeah, Z. Here's one where I can tell you the story right off, because I've researched this one. The Dratty brothers were responsible for the Civil War Monument, also called the Soldiers Monument, over in Section 4. It's one of my first really interesting finds out here. But they ran a really successful funerary art foundry, and they had their foundry, I think, was over on West 23rd Street in Manhattan. I think they had a location right across the street from Calvary, too. They specialized in marble markers, which a lot of these faded white markers were marble, and that was the material of choice for the wealthy. And I guess the irony is that they spent all that money on the fancy stuff, and nobody can read half their markers anymore. This is the site of silent film star Nita Naldi. I found some of her stuff on YouTube a couple of times. It's a big star back in the day. This section also has, I think it's over by the street, Wee Willie Keeler, famous baseball player, with the Yankees, I believe. Called him Wee Willie Keeler because he was such a small guy. So I don't know who these folks are, but maybe I'll find out. Thomas J. Harvey, 1919 to 1991. Catherine Marino, 1917 to 1998. Isabella Griffin and Ann M. Brennan, 1 West Avenue E, 27-4. Interesting that woman seemed to recognize at sight what I was doing. That I'm going stone by stone, getting photos, and then going home to see what I can find. I was careful not to say dig up. she seemed to know without question what I was doing. She thought it was pretty cool. This is an older one, but I'll give it a try anyway, because I like the engraving on the bottom. Dearest children, you have left us, and thy loss we deeply feel. But 'tis God who has bereft us. He can all our sorrows heal. So let's see what I can find on James and Esther Ward. Elizabeth Ward, John J. Ward, Thomas, Esther, James, Mary Margaret. Wow, that's 4 kids in a row that died very, very young. And why does that siren feel so ominous to me now as I look at this? I can't read the location coordinates, but it's next to 1 West 9G21. Yeah, sometimes a siren feels like it has a texture. It cuts through the air. And that's what that siren feels like right now. It's trying to tell me something. I'm pretty certain I'll find something on this. A military veteran. U.S. Navy, I think. My dad was military, but I'm not fluent on the abbreviations that they used. I know he was CWO3, Chief Warrant Officer. Frank Lawrence, 1894 to 1952, fought in World War I. Let's see what I find. That woman I talked to earlier we just reconnected as she was leaving, and she asked me if she was talking about the Find a Grave website, which I kind of hate, but I've learned to live with it. She was asking if there was any way to get paid for doing this kind of thing, for going out and getting photos of people's tombstones, and then she starts talking about what a backwash of bad information all these genealogy sites are. I'm like, you're preaching to the choir. It's funny because she pointed out one of the things I found a long time ago was sites like Find a Grave, it's a lot of volunteer contributions. And she was talking about somebody who had a very common name, maybe it was Smith or Jones or something. But all kinds of people with that common name claimed to be related to that person. And this person has like hundreds of phantom descendants, at least according to the internet. And that's just the beginning. That's just scratching the surface of how confusing genealogical research can be. Because people believe what they see on the internet, or they believe what they want to believe. And these are some beautiful hot mess markers over here. I wish I could see what these looked like when they were new. There's this one, and look at how detailed this was. This could have been a Draddy product. Wouldn't surprise me. A lot of their markers didn't put their names on them, or if they did, they faded. But this could well have been a Draddy piece. And then this one nearby is like sinking. And these things are eventually just going to turn into dirt. See if I can read this. Mary Frances Connell. Maybe with some visual filters I can decipher what the hell this says. I can read the top name, but from where I'm standing I can't make sense of anything else. But with the magic of Photoshop, perhaps I'll be able to make a negative of this or invert it or something. Maybe I'll come out here with shaving cream. That old canard. Is that what it was? Shaving cream? That you would supposedly spray onto a tombstone and it would highlight the letters that had faded. You're never supposed to do that. Yeah, this is obviously pretty old. And at one time at least pretty ornate. Oh, I didn't show the top part. This one looks like fun. The McMahon. Is that... I can't think of his name now. Dean Martin? Is that who this is supposed to be? Which is funny because I just saw some trash dumped on the side of the road. I was walking over here. There were a couple of DVDs of Dean Martin's celebrity roasts. And Dean Martin has hardly been a figure in my life, but it's weird to see him twice in such unexpected contexts, if that's even who this is supposed to be. There's also a turtle over here. This is Section 3, Avenue 24F, 24F, 3 and 4. We've got Dennis McMahon, William F. Scrivener. Why does that name sound familiar? Margaret McMahon Scrivener, Catherine Guida McMahon, and Lawrence McMahon. And these decorations are pretty clear evidence that the site has been visited by surviving family members recently. You're not supposed to leave real flowers anymore. It's been like that for a long time. It's because they think, and it's perfectly credible, that West Nile virus got its start in New York out at these cemeteries with the standing water and flowers and everything. So if they find real flowers, they yank them after a short period of time. There's a big fat mushroom for you. That's not even that big. I've seen them get like the size of a person's head out here. That's a reasonable attempt. All these stains you see are goose poop. And maybe other animals too, but it's mostly geese. I don't know how often they sweep it up, but oftentimes I'll come here and this road will be completely free of goose poop. So they do have a routine, a regimen. By the way, that woman said that she was heading over to the office. In our conversation, I suggested they might be closed today because I know that has been true in the past, and on weekends they're not open, but she said that she called ahead and they're open, and she looked pretty excited, so that's pretty cool. I don't make a lot of connections out here, but I didn't get her name, she didn't get mine. That church, it's a Korean church today. That used to be the mortuary for Calvary. And this is all a lot of people see of Calvary is from the highway. As they're entering the Long Island Expressway. It is so noisy out here. And that din of noise does form a sound soup within the grounds, but it is kind of amazing though how much quieter it is just once you even step inside the fence, or step through the gate rather. Alrighty. Alrighty. Thank you, Calvary, for another interesting afternoon, or morning, afternoon.